Simplify the difference quotient f of x minus f of a over x minus a, where x is not equal to a, for the function f of x equals the square root of x minus 3. Alright, the difference quotient is f of x minus f of a over x minus a, and here, for this particular function of x, that means we have the square root of x minus 3 minus the square root of a minus 3, that's the f of a, all divided by x minus a. And the way to simplify a difference quotient that involves radicals in the numerator like this is to multiply by the conjugate of the numerator. That's the square root of x minus 3 plus the square root of a minus 3. And if we do that to the numerator, we had better do it to the denominator as well, so that we're not changing our function. So, this is a unit fraction, so that we're really just multiplying by 1, which we know it doesn't change the value. Now, if we multiply through carefully, we'll notice that something rather fortunate happens. We multiply the first times the first, and the radical goes away because we're multiplying the square root of a number by itself, and that's effectively squaring the square root. So when we multiply the first by the first, we're just going to have x minus 3. Now, to continue this multiplication, we can take the square root of x minus 3 times the root a minus 3, and likewise we'll multiply the last terms together. That'll be a square root of x minus 3 times the square root of a minus 3 with a minus sign, and we'll add those together. Those will have equal and opposite signs, and they'll cancel out and give 0. So I'll write that down, but the cancellation like this should always occur. I'm going to have that pop up here in a second. So there's the result of multiplying the first times the last, and the first times the last here, and the last times the first here. That gives us these two terms, and of course they have equal values and opposite signs, so they add together to give 0. Now, to finish this off, we've just done first times first, and then we did first times last and last times first. Now we need to do the last two terms, and like the first term that we wrote down, this is going to simplify to just a negative a minus 3. Again, we're squaring the square root when we do that. All that is divided by x minus a times the square root of x minus 3 plus the square root of a minus 3. Notice I'm not multiplying that through because my goal is to eventually cancel that x minus a out. We can do that really in our next step, because here this x minus 3 minus another negative 3 is 0. If we like, we can write this as minus a and then plus 3, distributing that negative sign through, and that means that the 3 and the negative 3 will cancel as well, leaving only x minus a in the numerator, and leaving the full x minus a times the square root of x minus 3 plus the square root of a minus 3 in our denominator. And as advertised, the x minus a's will cancel, and we've now simplified that difference quotient. One caveat briefly, the original function was not defined when x was equal to a. In fact, that was true at each step here, because if x is equal to a, this factor will be 0 and we'll be dividing by 0. The fraction that we've now arrived at does not have that problem. If x equals a, we actually get a valid answer. And so we need to, in order to actually make sure that this equation is true, that this equal sign is asserting that these two truly are equal, we have to add a caveat that x cannot equal a here. That was an original restriction, and it should still be a restriction after we've simplified the problem. So we should include that for a complete answer. So there's the simplified difference quotient.